Hi, my name's Mitch Mitchell. Today is actually something new for me. My wife and my mother are both out of the house, and they're going to be gone for pretty close to 5 hours. So I have 5 hours where I can pretty much do anything I want. This is the first time, really, since my mother moved in with us back in January. My wife and my mother did leave once before, and unfortunately that day I had other things going on, so it wasn't like just free time for me. And this really is. So I have some things that I'm going to need to do, but I wanted to talk a little bit here while I can speak a little freely about this thing known as dementia. This is one of the issues my mother has. Actually, this is the main reason that she actually ended up having to move in with us, because she fell at her house back in January. She went to the hospital. We didn't live close. And when we got there, the state basically said, your mother is no longer allowed to live by herself. And mom was living by herself, so we moved her in with us rather than try to find some kind of facility to put her in. Not that I didn't look, but that was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. I wasn't sure how mom would react to living with us. And truthfully, during the time mom has been living with us, I realized that there just was nowhere else to take her. She needs a lot more care than general assisted living would have taken care of. And to put her in a place that she really would have needed, the kind of care that we're giving her, not only would it have been expensive, but I think she probably would have started getting depressed being by herself and being in a certain environment. And that wouldn't have been good either. As it is, mom's mental spirit is pretty good. But, I want to talk about the dementia thing because, unfortunately, most of us are probably going to go through this kind of thing with our parents now. And it may even be us at some point. My grandmother passed away in 2011. And my mother put a lot of time into working with her. My grandmother, at the time, had just basically taking care of her fourth bout with cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer she had, but it was the fourth time it had come through. And so mom was just totally dedicated to my grandmother, but the fourth bout pretty much started to wipe her of all her energy. So when my grandmother passed away at 90, she was pretty much just a shell of herself. For the last year, she had almost totally stopped talking. I could get her to talk. It's just something sometimes about me that I'm able to get folks to do something that other people say it just doesn't work. For instance, my friend Scott's father can hear me talking to him, but according to Scott, he can't hear anyone else. But I think he's probably just ignoring them because he doesn't want to hear what they want to say. He's always like me. Anyway, when my grandmother passed away, it was like that was the last life for my mother except for me. And she was totally by herself. And in retrospect, I should have noticed things a lot sooner than I did. And I think I was probably kidding myself, and I hate myself for that because I probably could have stepped forward and taken care of a lot of things way in advance. Mom started to really slow down. Mom has had problems with her legs and her feet for a long time. She's got arthritis. Mom has gone through these transformations where my mother used to be really big at one point, and then she lost tons of weight when my dad got sick back in 2001. He passed away in 2002, and she just dropped tons of weight. And initially, she was really, trying to get over it by being a little outgoing. She joined a couple of clubs, and then she just dropped all that. And then all attention got to be on my grandmother. Then when my grandmother passed, there was no other attention for her to give except to sit there in the house all day long watching TV or hop in the car and go to Wegmans. Wegmans is a big grocery chain for those of you who don't know what Wegmans is. And that became mom's life. And when I was in town, I would go see mom. And now I've been in town for a while, and I was seeing mom once a week. And I just wasn't really ready to take the reins, to take control, to tell mom, look, no, you can't keep living like this. And we would fuss and we would go back and forth. And it took a social worker in Rochester, Jamaican social worker, to give me the riot act. Basically, you need to I can't do Jamaican. She basically said, you need to take control. My mother is the same way, but they're really not capable of making this kind of decision. You have to do it. You're the only son. You're the only child. You have to just do it. She's going to fuss. She's going to fight. She's going to scream, but you have to do it. You have to figure out a way. And I hate to say that my way became easy once she fell, because you never want to hear that kind of thing. But once she fell, I was able to blame it on the state. I was able to blame it on the doctors. Mom, you can't go back to your house. You really just can't go back. And, it's tough. I'm going to tell all of you, it's a tough decision. That day where you pretty much have to say, I need to now step in and make a real decision on this. And you can't just put them in assisted living without really knowing, what their situation is. I have discovered things since Mom has been here that I never knew she couldn't do. I never knew she didn't understand. My mother, for basically, almost 5 years, ate basically two things. In the morning, she eats Honey Nut Cheerios. And for dinner, she was eating half a ham sandwich. Now, the ham was like this thick, so that was pretty meaty, but that's all she ate as far as food goes. Then she was eating these ice cream bars. And she was eating a box of ice cream bars a day. And of course, Mom started gaining weight. Now, you would think that would have been enough for me to know, okay, it's time. It wasn't. My mother had a car accident that I didn't know about until the day before someone came to take the car away, where she doesn't even know what she did. But she totally ripped part of her car, and yet she still drove that home. That should have told me something, and it didn't. What finally started to tell me there was an issue, and this is way, way too late, was when I took the keys to her car. And we had talked about it for 3 months. Mom, it's going to get close to winter. I don't want you driving in the winter. Your friend says she'll drive you around. And so let's go with that. And Mom said, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. So at Thanksgiving, I went there, took the keys, came home, thought everything was good. And Mom lost her mind. Mom lost her mind. She didn't remember we had the agreement. She didn't like it at all. She thought that I was sneaky, that I had done all these things. Then she convinced herself that her friend had taken her keys, maybe accidentally, and had them in her car. And Mom started what they call running. In essence, Mom wasn't running. What she was doing, she was just leaving the house. She was leaving the house and walking. There's nothing close to my mother's house, but she was walking to her friend's house, which for my mom, with her legs and the fact that she's always cold, was a miracle. I never would have believed Mom could do it, but she was just that agitated. That's when I really knew, okay, no, we've got to do this. Now, to be fair, I had taken my mother to her doctor. And I had told the doctor beforehand that I worried about her memory. So the doctor did this test. And the results of the test said moderate memory loss. Well, moderate memory loss is not considered dementia. But Mom was able to answer some questions. After she started this running thing, I said, no. I called the doctor and said, no, this is not. You've got to do a deeper test. You've got to make this diagnosis. This has to happen. So she did, and she saw my mother's, mental state had declined further, and then she said it was dementia. I should have basically forced that a couple years earlier than I did, but I had just moved Mom from one doctor to another doctor, and so, I'm one of those few people who's totally not afraid of doctors. Worked in healthcare for over 30 years. Doctors do not freak me out at all, but this was a young lady who, she was now Mom's new doctor, wanted to get off on a good foot, so I didn't really force the issue. I should have basically forced the issue. I should have told her more. I thought I was telling her enough, but Mom was always just good enough to skirt. Our parents are not dumb. People who have dementia are not dumb. We have to be willing and ready to look at them and look at their situation and say, no. This just has to change. My mother hadn't cleaned the house in about 7 or 8 years, and I didn't know that. When my wife and I were at the house this one weekend and we were trying to do some cleaning, the things we discovered, it was amazing how dirty it was, how many dead bug bodies there were. And I don't like insects. I was like, oh my God. Yes, Mom didn't open the doors. Mom didn't air the place out. Mom always had the temperature on 85. So this is just me talking to y'all, letting you know that our parents are probably going to get there. If they don't, count yourself blessed and lucky and just run with it. But be aware. Watch what they're doing. Just keep a good eye on them. Right now, I'm not the only one. My neighbors across the street are both 90, and it seems that their conditions are worse off than I would have known, but I don't see them all that often. But my wife has just been talking with his granddaughter, and there's some things that have happened, and now they're trying to decide what they may need to do because they really want to keep the grandparents together, but they're not really sure. That's as far as I'm going to go with that because, ain't my business to be talking about someone else's business. So, if you have any questions, if you have any stories to share having to do something with your parents with dementia, please let me know. And there it is. Send me questions. And let's see how this goes. Now, what am I going to do with the rest of my day? Laundry. That's a shame. I need to plan better. Y'all take care. Have a great week.